Craig Foss.
Chair. I appreciate the call, Mr Chairman. Vote finance, Mr Chair. Excuse me, Mr Chairman. I think I'd read out a couple of very important points because this government's about action. And there's a couple of points that have been missing so far from this discussion, but maybe other members will bring it up. As far as action goes, Mr Chairman, on 1st of October 2010, if you're earning under $14,000, your tax rate's going to change from 12.5 cents in the dollar to 10.5 cents. That's action, Mr Chair. If your income on the 1st of October 2010 is between $14,000 and $48,000, your tax rate's going to move down from 21% to 17.5%, Mr Chair. About over two-thirds of New Zealanders will actually be facing a highest marginal tax rate of no higher than 17.5 cents in the dollar. That's action. And so that kind of puts the pay to some of the accusations from the other side who just kind of tend to go on endlessly, I guess. If your income's between $48,000 and $70,000, Mr Chair, your taxable income, you're going to be taxed no longer at 33 cents, but at 30 cents in the dollar will be your highest marginal tax rate, Mr Chairman. Absolutely astounding action by this government. Only been in place for 18 months now. This comes in 1st of October. If your income's over $70,000, your tax cut will be from 38 cents to 33 cents, Mr Chair. So actually, when we hear rhetoric from the other side about looking for action or something, 1st of October, after-tax incomes for New Zealanders, A, are improving, B, are actually on the way to catching up with Australia, and we're well on the way putting freedom, fairness and equity back into the system. But wait, there's more, Mr Chair. If you're on super, under this government, you're actually, as a married couple, about $80 to $90 better off since this government has been in place, due to indexation, due to the changes we've made to after-tax incomes, and just general increases in superannuation, Mr Chair. Again, action, not just the plans and general reports and reviews that the other side rave on about. And wait, there's more, Mr Chair. Under vote finance, corporate tax, 1st of April next year, will be moving from 30 cents to 28 cents in the dollar. 30 cents to 28 cents in the dollar. We hear this catch up to Australia. Oh, hold on here. That's actually lower than Australia. At the very best, they are going down to 29 cents in the dollar, maybe in 4 years or so. New Zealand is running ahead and more ambitious in itself, if you like, Mr Chair, as far as business tax concerned, no more than 28 cents in the dollar. And hey, there's more. Yes, GST has been adjusted on 1st of October, part of the tax switch. Again, I always express my surprise that the Green Party don't vote for an increase in consumption tax, because we hear them endlessly talking anti-consumption. Well, there you go, there's a consumption tax, but they seem to vote against it. I also note for the listeners, those that are listening, that the opposition voted against all these tax cuts and changes and still continue to argue against them. But to be fair, it is par for the course for them. They went 9 years without cutting taxes at all, other than the corporate tax, 33 to 30. I will give them that one, Mr Chair. Excuse me, Mr Chair, part of vote finance is part of 6 planks we are using to clean up our economic system, to clean up New Zealand's economy, to rebalance it, to refocus it, to put focus back in the front line, and most importantly, to put confidence back in New Zealanders, in their economy, and in the government that manages their tax. We will be managing it prudently, as a prudent manager of the economy. Part of those 6 planks, Mr Chair, well, as I just mentioned, tax reform. The biggest tax reform in 25 years this country's seen. 25 years this government's getting out and backing New Zealand families and jobs. Mr Chairman, better, smarter public services. Thus far, up to $2 billion has been found reprioritising money within the public sector. Up to $2 billion. The only contribution from the other side was the Honourable Phil Goff, who spent his Christmas thinking about something and thought he might cap the salaries of, I think it was 50 or 60 or so public servants, having a few years prior signed up to a 5% annual increase 5 years, 5 by 5, with those same players, Mr Chair. Part of that also is national standards, education, Mr Chair, which I alluded to earlier, boosting and investing in infrastructure, which is all about investing in the future of New Zealand, unclogging the arteries, the infrastructure to allow our exports to go to the ports and tourists to come in. ambitious trade agenda, Mr Chairman, 20 billion aspirational targets with China, Mr Chair.
The Honourable Trevor